risk and the way we need to have an empirical formula to arrive at a risk coefficient. In today's class, we will go with an example. Also, yesterday we took SDLC phases and talked about a few risks in requirement phase, design phase, implementation phase, etc. So that was more of IT based or IT industry based risk analysis, whereas for each industry it will be definitely different, and the risk changes its coefficient over a period of time. The risk doesn't stay forever in the same weightage. It's like the typical cyclone, right? Risk is like cyclone. It intensifies and then loses. It happens every now and then. Also, we talked about the risk probability. This is what we have seen in yesterday's session. Today we will do some more analysis on that part with examples. Plus, the first thing that we will be going through today will be how to calculate the weightage in a simple way. I am going to tell about the simplest way. You can further expand to arrive at, I would say some risk index. Okay. First step is define parameters. Let me say the parameters would be, number one, definitely would be if it is internal or external risk, right? Then with respect to people, process, technology, environmental and legal, this is another parameter. Then what is the severity of the risk? Catastrophic, major, minor. Then the probability. It will happen 10% or 15% chance. And then vicinity, whether it is in near future or in the far future, right? Whether it is one time or recurring. Okay, these are all the parameters that we are talking about any risk. Once we have set these, this is the first thing, and you can define your own parameters. For example, imagine a company that hires people, especially in the United States scenario. If you take an Indian company in Tamil Nadu state, they hire mostly Indians, right? 99% or even 100% of the employees are Indians. So there is no ethnic difference or racial difference within India. The only difference will be religious difference and the language. They may be from a different state. Apart from that, the race, the citizenship, everything doesn't change. Whereas imagine a US company. US is more, I would say, it's a mixture of different cultures, different ethnic background. So when they hire people from different ethnic background, nationality, right? The HR department needs to manage that cultural difference. That itself is a risk, because a small irritation can cause legal cases, lawsuits. So that itself is a risk. What is the more you hire with one group, also a risk. The more you hire with multiple groups is also a risk, but each one has its own level. So that's a risk the HR will manage. So same way you have to Different companies can add more parameters, but the first step is define parameters. Second, right? Assign weightages to each parameter. A weightage meaning what is the influence of this parameter on the overall risk. A weightage meaning, for example, if you do a performance appraisal for a junior developer, team leading skills, there is no weightage. The weightage assigned to do it is 0. For that person, maybe programming skills will be given more weightage, documentation thing will be given less weightage. Whereas if you go to team leaders, documentation will have more weightage, then presentation skills will have more weightage. So each parameter will have a different weightage at different levels. So that way we need to assign. Now let us cut and paste this. Assign. Again, the numbers that I am giving here are just arbitrary numbers. This is only for example. You cannot take this for calculating your company's stuff. Now I'm saying the weightage of it is a 0.2, and let me say, and the weightage of this particular classification is let me say, if it is internal, I would say 0.2 is the weightage. Sorry, external is 0.2. If it is internal, I would say it is 0.4. Same way, if it is people, the weightage is 0.5. Usually they will give a number between 0 and 1. Normally, because that way it can, the weight always is having that kind of a fractional numbers. Process 0.3, then technology 0.2, environment 0.1 barrier, legal 0.1 as a barrier. Severity, if it is major, then it is 0.8, minor 0.4, cosmetic then 0.2. Probability, right? Again, this is anyway always a number that you will always assign between 0 and 1. Vicinity, if the risk can happen in the near future, then it is, the weightage is more. If it is far future, then I would say it is 0.2. If it is one time, 0.2. Okay. If it is one time, then it is 0.2 weightage, and if it is recurring, I would say it is 0.6 weightage. So a risk coming again and again and again must be given more weightage than a one-time risk. These numbers I am just giving only for example. You need to arrive. That is where your quality team, there is a team called Process Metrics Group, PMG. The PMG will provide you the metrics, the statistics, the numbers, because they normally do a lot of market analysis and field analysis. From there they will get the information and give the numbers. Once you have done, right? Once this is done, the third, assign numbers, or say assign score, I would say assign score to each risk and its parameters. For example, I am taking a risk. Let us take a risk of say product. Our product does not work in the latest operating system on the most branded mobile. This is a risk. Suppose you see the newspaper, the mobile company is saying, say the brand Nokia or iPhone or Samsung or whatever, they are planning to release a new version next month, and they already got orders in terms of millions, but you have not tested your product on that. The risk is, if your product does not work, many of your customers, if they migrate, they have a problem, you lose customer base. So this can cause loss in existing and new customer base. Imagine a mobile game. Your mobile game does not work in that, and most of the people are moving to that. You are into a risk. Moment you got this risk, for each of them, right? For each of them, assign, is it an internal risk or an external risk? So it's an external risk. Okay. Then you need to assign a score. A score meaning, again, normally they define a score between 1 and 10, something like that. It's like this. You rate this guy in his communication skills. So his communication skills are very good. I can say the mark is 8 out of 10, right? In the overall performance appraisal, the communication skill has got maybe 0.2 as a weightage, but for each parameter unit, normally people will give a score between 1 and 10. I would say, since it's an external risk, it's not in my hands, I would say I am giving a score of 6, because still, based on my own analysis, still the existing customer base is in the old version. It is a technology related risk, and I'm giving a score of, say, 4, and the severity, I'm not seeing it as it's not a major thing, but it's a definitely minor thing. So I'm assigning a score of, say, 4. Probability, anyway, I'm giving. Now your marketing team will tell, if your customer base is 10 million users, out of 10 million users, how many people will migrate to that based on some market index? Suppose that customer, that company says 30% of the existing users have already ordered this, then 30% of your customer base also can move. Now I'm saying, okay, there is a 0.3 point probability of my customer base moving. Vicinity, it is in the near future, within a month. So I am assigning a score of, definitely it has a more barrier, I say 8. It is a one time, right time it is going to be a one time. So I am assigning a weightage of, say, just say 4. If I'm able to crack it within a month, I am done. So you define parameters, assign weightages for each parameter, then assign score to each risk and its parameters. Finally, calculate risk index equal to parameter 1 star weightage 1, or say score 1 star weight 1 plus score 2 dot weight 2, right, up to score n star weight n. Now if you calculate this, in this particular thing, risk index equal to, take the first one, external risk, so 6 star, the weightage 0.2, 0.2, plus technology 4 star 0.2, plus severity minor, then 4 star 0.4, plus again the probability you have got 0.3, right, plus vicinity 8 star 0.8 because it is local, plus one time 4 star 0.2. Now you will arrive at a number, right? This is 1.2 plus 0.8 plus 0.12 plus 1.6. 4 into 0.4 is 1.6 plus 0.3 plus 8 into 6.4 plus 0.8 equal to some value, right? 2, 3.6, 3.9, 3.9, 9.9, 10.3, 11.1. Okay. So 11.1 is my weighted average score for this particular risk as on this date. I would say as on 16th, what is today's date? 17th March. Okay. For this, you have to have some base numbers to start with using your process metrics group. Then someone has to assign these scores. This is exactly the same way, right? Same like HR performance appraisal. In HR performance appraisal, they will define KRA and KSA, key results area and key skills area. For each key results area, they will assign weightage and score. Weightage into score plus weightage into score finally arrive at a number. That number will tell you the overall risk. Then there will be something like this. There is something like, once you define this, there will be something like escalation path. You need to define an escalation path. If score between 0 and 5 escalate to PM, right? If score between 5.1 and 10 escalate to GM, right? If between 10.1 and 15 escalate to VP. If greater than 15 escalate to CEO. There will be a risk escalation path, right? The moment this risk escalation is defined, the project manager will assign this. The quality team will review maybe every week or every day on demand. Depending upon the score, they will define escalation path, and accordingly they will warn them, basically alert or notify. Hey, there seems to be, even if you take a simple traffic alert, Anna Salai is blocked because of some procession going on, so you have to take alternate route. So there is a risk if you try to cross Anna Salai. Suddenly they will say the monsoon is intensifying, don't go for fishing. As of now, especially in the ports, you can see there is a red flag. They will say 4 number flag, 5 number flag. So they will have some numbers to identify the intensity of the storm. Depending upon that, they will give port level warning, city level warning, district level warning, or state level warning, so that the escalation path is at what level people must be aware. Based upon higher the score, higher the authority who will be addressing that particular risk. This is how every single risk in every single project must be assigned with a number. Finally, management wants a number. Is this clear to you all? Can you please raise hands? Okay. Good. Great. Now, I would show one tool that we use internally, document the risks, right? For example, I try to log in as this is a tool that we internally use to define the risks. This again does not calculate the weightage as of today. especially this is a demo piece. In our actual company database, we calculate that number, but this is a demo thing that I am trying to give from the demo site. For every project, we have to define the risk, and the reason why we want to have a standard place where risk needs to be stored is, for example, right now there are four different projects to which the user King Kong is assigned. So let me select this particular project I am getting in. If it is in email, this particular tool tracks tasks, bugs, everything. Same way under the project management, oh sorry, I think the risk management was not enabled over here. Probably let me try to sign in with super user. Let me see. I'm not sure whether for this particular user it is assigned. No. Just give me a second. Because this particular product, we can do a lot more customization, including enabling certain menus. Okay. So right now the risk management is not enabled. I'm just enabling that risk management and saving. Okay. So I'm trying to get that menu up. Okay. Just give me a second. This particular tool will enable people to put all the project risks in a central place. Otherwise, the problem is too many people, okay, will start sending emails, or they will try to send different Excel sheets in different formats. Instead, it will be a single place where you can have your, say right now by enabling that menu, you have got that risk enabled here, right? Instead of having multiple people sending multiple information all over the place, it is better to have one place to define the risks. For example, there were 2 risks already enabled, okay, just for the demo purpose. Implementation of a particular insurance in rural areas, they say there's a problem. Let me just say define a new risk. Suppose I click new risk. One of the major use of this tool, once a project manager defines it in this tool, that person need not even send an email, okay? The person need not send an email or make an SMS or whatever call. Simply that person, right, defines here, it is visible all over the company, especially to the top management. Visibility of the risk is more important. A risk short description, a long description, is it internal or external? Again, a category, right? Again, sometimes we also define the source of the risk due to what it has happened, right? Again, category will also have people, process, whether the risk is caused by a communication gap, and then likelihood or vicinity. Detectability, that is one other parameter that we use. Some risks are easy to detect. Some risks are rare to detect. It's like a common cold. By the symptoms you can detect it easily. Cancer, it is not that easy to detect also, but if you are good to detect at an early stage, it is great. So early detection is also one of the features. So we also look at whether this risk is detectable. First of all, some risks are not even detectable. Storm is predictable, whereas earthquake is not predictable, right? To some extent, even volcanic activities are definitely predictable, but not a normal earthquake, seismic activity, right? A normal monsoon flood is predictable, whereas a flash flood is not predictable. So certain risks are easy to detect, certain risks are not easy to detect. So we use that also. Now, additionally, we calculate two things. Symptoms. If such risks can happen, how can you first of all detect? I will talk about that probably once I close the screen. Consequences. If the risk happens, what is your damage? Mitigation plan and contingency plan. There is something called options, mitigation options. Okay. I will talk about this also later, probably in another 2-3 minutes. The reason why I am showing this tool is it's a very simple tool. Rather than putting your information in an Excel sheet or in an email, better to put it in a structured tool so that it is immediately visible to the management. That is precisely what this tool does, and it automatically calculates the index. We have internally mapped the weightages and somebody else will assign the score. So automatically it will send email triggers. So that is the advantage of the tool. Otherwise, a grave risk, somebody can do it in a polished English words, and when somebody reads it, it will not even sound like a risk. Okay. But actually it would have been a grave risk. But the way the guy sent it in a pure English word, right, text with the flourish English, it's a problem. But if it's in the tool, if you divide them into list boxes and check boxes, you can easily calculate the score. They don't have options to glorify the words. That's one of the advantages of this tool. Now, let me say there is something like symptoms. Like common cold, you have a symptom. Employee attrition. What is the symptom? Let us take that particular risk. Right? Someone has asked the question whether this tool is commercially available one or developed for only for your company. It is commercially available. Yes. If people are interested in this tool, you can send a mail to webinar. We will give a free evaluation copy. You can try it out. You can try to buy also. Please send a mail to webinar@softsmith.com if you are interested. Okay. There are a lot of other tools for risk management, heavily costly, right? So, but what we try to do is with a sleek way, simplest and practical way. Okay. Symptoms. Employees leave. What is the typical symptom that you can see? Can you type some standard answers that you can? Symptoms of employee attrition. Yes. Sudden absence for half a day by many people. Right? That's a symptom. Second thing. Right? People coming in formal dress. So far yesterday, day for yesterday, they came in a normal lousy shirt, but suddenly today they came white and white, right? Typical symptoms, right? Visual, attitude, indifference. Correct. One person has nailed. I think this person is a manager somewhere, right? Not taking new work. That's a clear symptom. If someone you are assigning a new work and that person doesn't take a new work, that's a symptom, right? Same way, for every risk, there are symptoms. So someone has to document that, oh, if it is this risk, you need to look for these scenarios, right? Sudden email coming from employee saying that I am going out, right? Right? So same way, the risks. One person has asked, what is the risk that we face from client? Imagine that you are serving to one of the 140 banks that went bankrupt in the USA. Imagine that you are the CEO of the company which was doing a project for the last 2 years for that particular bank which is closed down. Will you get the money back for the project work that you have done? That's a grave risk, very bad risk to face. Yes. Some clients, their business is going off. So there are a lot of issues with the client also. It's not that risk will happen only because of some other factors. Client themselves can face risk, which will in turn affect you as well. Okay, coming back. So symptoms are the ones through which you can smell out what is going to happen. That's a symptom. Second thing, consequences. Consequences are also damages. Someone has to tell point blank, black and white, hey, if you are going to get these symptoms, this is going to be your damage, right? For example, requirement changed. Suddenly, client changed the requirement, right? Rework itself will delay project by 1 week. Someone has to tell that number. If I'm going to do extra work for a week, who is going to pay? Is it by the client or my management? If my management absorbs the cost, it is my loss. If the client is paying, it is fine. But you need to manage the relationship. Consequences are the damages. Someone has to say very, very clearly, right? That is another area. Yeah, in fact, though I don't want to take up that topic, but I don't want to mention the names, but there are some recent riots in some cities, right? Yes, that's a communal problem. That is an emotional charge. So people are attacked. So that's a definite risk if you run a business in that place. So what is the consequence? Right? So consequences, you need to tell the damages if this risk happens. What is my loss? And I have to tell in plain, simple words. In fact, my mentor always says, do not use adjectives. It is going to give a very, very bad client satisfaction. Don't use the very, very bad, right? Client satisfaction will have a rating between 4, a rating of 4 in the scale of 0 to 10. So give a number. Instead of saying very, very bad, you can say 2 out of 10. Always use numbers. Do not use adjectives. Always use numbers. Rather than saying the project will be delayed, say project will be delayed by 1 week. Give a number. Consequences you must always associate with numbers. Then the third thing is risk control, okay, or options. I would say handling options. A risk happen. What can I do? I can try to avoid the risk. I can try to face the risk and manage, right? I can hold, right? Hold the project till the risk is off, right? There are multiple options like this. Is this risk avoidable? Certain risks are not definitely avoidable, right? If the local transport corporation is announcing a strike, if that union announces a strike, it is inevitable that you have to face it. So you have to face and manage, make alternate arrangements, right? If electricity board says there's a scheduled power cut to do some control in that particular area, nothing you can do. You have to face it. But certain risks can be definitely avoided. Sometimes you may have to hold your project itself, and client will also accept, yeah, I will wait for a month and then start, or I will wait for a week and then start. So there are multiple handling options. What options you are going to choose? Try that one. And also mitigation plans. How I can avoid this risk? How can I preempt it so that I don't face the risk, right? Okay, power cut is there. Do we have enough generator backup? Fine. You avoided the risk. You preempted the risk. employees, 4 employees design, no, I have got 8 people on bench, I can avoid the risk also, not a problem. Same way, what is the way that you can circumvent that risk? That's called a mitigation plan. Again, it is coming based out on lot of experience. I'm giving you a simple situation. You bought a magazine and you go into the train, and then inside the train there is a guy next to you. The moment you enter, he shamelessly asks you, can I read that magazine? What are you going to say? No or yes? What are you going to say? You have not even opened the magazine, and this guy has asked you, can I read the magazine for 10 minutes? Are you going to say bluntly no? Or are you going to say, take it and then give it me back? It's up to you. It changes from person to person, right? See, if it is a long journey train, you cannot mess up that guy, right? Because he is going to sit with you for the next 18 hours. So depending upon whether you are going by a short-term journey train or a long journey train, you need somebody to be your company for X number of hours. But you can avoid it in certain way. But how are you going to do? Right? Whether you are going to say, I'll read it and then give it to you, or you read it and then give it to me in 5 minutes, read only the headlines. It is up to you. A risk can happen in many ways, right? Mitigation plans are based on a lot of experience. But that is why companies do have something called knowledge sharing, or they are also called information window, right? What they do is past projects from the previous experience, they take all the lessons learned. At the end of every project or every month, every project manager should submit what are the things that they learned. Send it to the quality team so that they will publish it as a paper. Oh, some problem happened like this, oh, I avoided like this. So by reading it, you can come to know there are multiple ways to avoid it. Correct? So lessons learned are always available in the company, and every company must document it so that a problem faced by project manager A last month, if the risk can happen in your project also, you should not be afraid of it. You should be in a better position to handle it. Correct? So the lessons learned must be documented, and that is used as an input for mitigation plans. Same way, contingency plans. Why companies are hiring in 10,000 or 20,000 people in biggies? Because they also have attrition of say 4,000 people in one quarter. Their way of controlling the attrition is get more people. Even if 4,000 people leave, I don't care. Other contingency plan, okay, I have a very strong training ground. I can train 1,000 people in a single place within a week, and my people are sharp and I can get them up to speed. Even if 1,000 people leave within a week, next 1,000 people I can bring on board just like that. So contingency plan, right? Technology, okay, version A doesn't work, I have already got a version B solution. Up to the client. Process related issue, so this process doesn't work, option A, option B, right? Usually companies will say plan A and plan B. Minimum 2 plans managers will ask. If plan A doesn't work, what is plan B? Switch, right? Because God is giving 2 ears for us, 2 eyes for us, 2 legs. Plan A, plan B, right? If one goes off, at least another is there, right? So contingency is if some problem happens, what is the other alternate I should switch to, right? So if requirements keep on changing, my contingency is ask for time extension, standard route, right? If environment related problems do come, what is the alternate? You say, I will do only in these A, B, C, 3 environments. I cannot test it in 100 different environments. You communicate to the client, right? So every problem, you must have plan A and plan B. What is that plan A and plan B? Again, for mitigation and contingency plans, the lessons learned from previous projects are valuable assets. Based on that, you can do a lot of wonders. If that is not there, you are trying to reinvent the wheel, right? Do not try to find a new solution if that is faced already. Try out those options, because in established companies, proven tracks are always better. Whereas in a startup company, daredevil, right? You can still go, hit, not a problem. Exactly like in cricket match, you do not expect first 2 overs or 3 overs to lose the wicket. Okay, unfortunately, you lost 2 wickets in the first 2 overs. What is your plan B? Suddenly a batting order will change, right? Or same batting order will remain. The strategy of not hitting to defending, it will change. So they will have plan A and plan B. Right from toss winning, if I win the toss, I will do this. If I don't win the toss, I will do this. So Dhoni has to have always plan A and plan B. Every captain must have plan A and plan B. Every project manager must have plan A and plan B. And most importantly, those plans must be written. They must be documented. It should not be just lying in your mind. Put it in a document or put it in a tool like this, like SPCG, so that what you are going to do, somebody else will also be watching you. That's very, very important. Right? Otherwise, you will think something, you will do something else. That should not happen. So that information must be coming from all the other places, but it should be stored in a central place. It must be recorded or documented or written. A mere email, a mere Excel sheet alone is not sufficient, because it may not have that visibility. Any risk must be analyzed, assigned with a number, must be having mitigation plans, contingency plans, symptoms, consequences. If you are able to think through this, reason is, before the risk happens, your mind is calm. You can get better solutions. When risk has happened, your mind is charged. Your solutions may go wrong. So think before the problem happens. Otherwise, you may not have the reaction. All your solutions will be mere reactions. So you may not get a better solution. That is why risk prevention is always part of planning. And it's a continuous exercise. Okay. Okay. Any questions so far? Someone has asked a question. What is the difference between the issue and the risk? I think this person has joined pretty late. An issue that catches you unaware, that's a risk. So risk is also an issue. It's also a problem. But it will be a surprise problem to you. You may not have a reaction time, right? Simple thing is all the earthquakes, right? Haiti earthquake. If people know it is going to happen, they would have come out of the house, but they were not given notice. Issue or a problem happened as a surprise. It's always a risk. Okay. Any other questions? One other person has asked, do we have any continuous mentoring sessions for risk? Yes, as I said in the first class, you need to get attached to the project management team closely. Then only it is more of like a child learning. You watch, attend meetings, take notes. That way you will learn much better, right? So it has to be like more of observation based learning, and read past lessons learned. That will give a lot of insight to the problems, right? Any other question? Someone has asked, is there any other tool apart from the SPCG? Yes, there are a lot of tools. There are focused risk management tools. I don't want to, because they are all different brands, so I cannot talk about that. But you can definitely search in Google risk management tools. Tons of tools are available, but some tools are very costly, and it needs to be suiting your organization. We always suggest start in a simpler way. Right at the first shot, do not try to complicate. So always start in a simpler way, then continue. Better to start with a single set of parameters, right? Okay. Someone has asked, is it possible with the MS project? The MS project, I have not seen very specifically a section for risk. Probably I have to check the new versions. It's a scheduling and costing related one. Risks, I'm not sure how it is integrated with that, but probably I can check it out. But not sure on MS project with risk management. Because risk is a complex phenomenon, right? It's a lot more complex. One of the risks that we faced, one of our employees, that person used to have thyroid problems and some other BP related issues. So if I load that guy more, he will have health issues, right? Accidentally, if we load him without realizing it, next day he's off. It is not his problem, his intention. His body doesn't, or his health doesn't allow it. It doesn't happen intentionally, but unintentionally if something happens. So it's a risk to the project, but how you can avoid the risk? So you need to plan better. So for risk manager, the planning and the monitoring is the key. Okay. Any other questions for the day? Okay, good. I enjoyed the session, so I'm not receiving any more questions with respect to today's portion. So I'll wait another minute from you if you have any questions to answer. Okay, one person has asked how to listen to the recorded webinars. Okay. While I'm typing over here, probably you can say I can also try to get, you open Internet Explorer. Okay. Go to openmentor.net. Okay. Go to openmentor.net in Internet Explorer. Okay. Click on recorded webinars link, right? That will give. For risk management, I have not yet uploaded, right? I have not yet uploaded, but there are a lot of other webinars, because what we do is we do a lot of editing before we upload, because it needs to be fine-tuned. So we are just trying to do a lot of proofreading before we put on the recorded webinars, and the size also we try to minimize. openmentor.net. Only thing is, it's better to go through Internet Explorer, because we are putting everything in Windows media files. So better to access from Microsoft operating system, Windows, not from Linux. So use Windows as operating system, use MSIE as the browser, and I hope the machines used to have that audio video window audio media layer, right? Once you get into that portal, you will see the recorded webinars, because the link is right there at the top. Okay, you could see here recorded webinars. Okay, the moment you click on the recorded webinars, it will take you to Softsmith's website. There you could see recorded webinars which are defined in multiple sections. And I always suggest you need to have a broadband. Okay, these are all the, it will take you to this page, recorded webinars. You could see that link over here, and you could see databases, finance, securities. If you take to programming, C language, Python, we are yet to upload a lot more things, right? So including VB script are part of here. You'll be uploading some more, because we have got another 50 to 60 webinars yet to be approved by our editing team. So it's going there. Better to have a DSL or a broadband. 512 kbps or 256 may not be sufficient. So always try to have a broadband, because it has a buffering feature. Then it will be as good as what you learn over here. Okay, thanks a lot. I hope you enjoyed this session. I too enjoyed the session. We will try to upload these webinars. Give us always a 1 week lead time, so that we can edit and then upload. We'll meet sometime back again next week. We have more webinars coming. Thanks a lot. Bye. Good night.